Most money facts are boring. These 10 are not. A country where the average household is a millionaire, and the typical one has less than $200,000. A world that created 2,600 new millionaires every single day last year. A dollar that lost almost everything it was worth, on purpose. We're counting down 10 money statistics that sound invented and aren't. Every one is sourced, and the sources are in the description. And number one is the one that genuinely changed how I think about money. It's about the most famous investor alive, and the fact that almost everything he's worth arrived after the age most people stop working. Number 10. A dollar in 1913 had roughly the buying power of $33 today. Flip that around, and it's uglier. Today's dollar buys about 3 cents worth of what a 1913 dollar bought. That's a loss of around 97%. 1913 is the year the Federal Reserve was created, and it's where the official inflation series begins. So this isn't a crash or a crisis. It's the normal, intended operation of the system, running for 113 years. Which means holding cash was never a neutral choice. It just felt like one, because the loss arrives too slowly to notice. Number 9. American households now owe $18.79 trillion. That's an all-time high. Mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student loans, all of it, added together, as measured by the New York Federal Reserve in the first quarter of 2026. Trillions stop meaning anything, so here's a handle for it. If you paid back $1 million a day, every day, you'd clear it in about 51,000 years. And notice what that number is not. It's not a sign the country is collapsing. Debt this size is what a functioning credit system looks like, which is exactly what makes the next one interesting. Number 8. Americans owe more on their cars than on their credit cards. A lot more. Auto loans, $1.69 trillion. Credit cards, $1.25 trillion. Same quarter, same source. We talk about credit cards constantly and car loans almost never, but the car is the bigger whole. Part of that is size. A card balance is hundreds or thousands. A car loan is tens of thousands. But part of it is that a credit card feels like debt, and a car feels like a purchase. Same money, different story in your head. Number 7. Credit card balances hit an all-time record of $1.277 trillion at the end of 2025. The highest since the New York Fed started tracking it in 1999. Then, in the first quarter of 2026, they actually fell. Down $25 billion. One quarter isn't a trend, but it is the first time in a long while the line went the other way. Number 6. Only 30% of Americans say they would pay a $1,000 emergency out of savings. That's from a Bankrate survey of over 2,500 U.S. adults, run in December 2025. $1,000. An emergency room visit, a transmission, a boiler. 17% would reach for a credit card. 12% would ask family or friends. 3% would take out a personal loan. Another 17% would cover it out of that month's income, and 10% would just cut spending elsewhere. Added up, and roughly a third would go into debt for one bad Tuesday. For most people, the emergency fund isn't a fund. It's other people, or it's credit. If you like numbers that actually check out, subscribe. It tells me to keep doing the digging. Number 5. Global personal wealth rose 10.8% in a single year, 2025, measured in US dollars. That's from UBS's Global Wealth Report. 10.8% worldwide in 12 months. Now hold that number next to the last one. The world got dramatically richer in the same year. Most people couldn't find $1,000. Both things are true at once, and that gap is the whole story of the next 3. Number 4. The world created nearly 1 million new millionaires last year. That's more than 2,600 people crossing the $1 million line every single day. Over 440,000 of them were in the United States alone. Roughly 2 new millionaires per minute, all day, all year. And this is where the word millionaire quietly stops meaning what it used to. It doesn't mean a yacht. In a lot of cities, it means somebody who bought a house a long time ago and kept paying the mortgage. Number 3. In the year 2000, almost 75% of the world's adults had less than $10,000 to their name. By 2025, that was just over 41%. That is a staggering amount of movement in 25 years, and it's the one on this list that's straightforwardly good news. It doesn't mean those people are comfortable. $10,000 is a very low bar, but hundreds of millions of human beings crossed it. We almost never hear this one. Numbers that go the right way don't travel as well as numbers that go the wrong way, which is a fact about media, not about the world. Number 2. The average American household has a net worth of about $1.06 million. The typical one has $192,700. Both numbers come from the same Federal Reserve survey. Neither is wrong. They're just measuring different things. The average is dragged upward by a very small number of extremely rich households. The median, the household exactly in the middle, is the one that describes a real life. And the gap between those two numbers is widening. In 1989, the average was about 4 times the median. By 2022, it was 5.5 times. So whenever a headline tells you the average person has some amount of money, check whether they mean average or typical. Those two words have been drifting apart for 30 years. Number 1. Roughly 98% of Warren Buffett's net worth was accumulated after his 65th birthday. He started investing as a child. He was already wealthy in his 30s, seriously rich by 50. And almost all of it, the overwhelming majority of the number people talk about, came after the age most people retire. That's not because he got better at investing at 65. It's because compounding does almost nothing for a long time, and then does almost everything. The writer Morgan Housel put it as well as anyone. Buffett's skill is investing, but his secret is time. Housel's other line is sharper. If Buffett had retired at 65, you would never have heard of him. Same person, same skill, different amount of time. That's the whole difference. Put the 10 together, and a pattern shows up. Almost every number here is about speed. The dollar lost 97% slowly enough that nobody rioted. Household debt reached 18 trillion one car at a time. Hundreds of millions of people climbed out of poverty over 25 years, so quietly it never made the news. And Buffett's fortune sat almost flat for decades before it moved. Money doesn't move at the speed of attention. It moves at the speed of decades, which is exactly the speed we're worst at noticing. That's why the average feels like the typical, why a car loan doesn't feel like debt, and why the most important financial fact about the most famous investor alive is not what he bought. It's how long he waited. Every source for all 10 of these is in the description. Go check them. I'd rather you did. I'm the Cost Bunny. Come back tomorrow, and I'll show you another way your brain plays tricks with your money.